Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to a new video. This is the first time in a while that I've made a video. Just know that I am okay. I just took a short break, but now we're going to have more content, we're going to have more streams, and a lot is going to be happening before the big election night, April 1st, which will be the Wisconsin spring elections, including the Supreme Court race, the superintendent race, and a ballot initiative, the Florida special elections, Omaha mayoral, and more. So I'm announcing here since I feel like I've kind of been obvious about it, but I will be streaming that election. So make sure to get ready. The stream itself, so you can set notifications for it, will be out soon. Um, I don't know when, but until then, we will be going over this mod. Now, I've seen basically nothing about this mod, the 2024 election. Um, I know the basics of it, that it's now, this is just immediately after Harris takes over. Um, you can play it. It's a normal mod, while the 2024 Divided States of America, um, you're going to be able to play as Biden, and I guess choose your own adventure. I don't know. It looks like the mods bit off a bit more than they could chew. Um, and trust me, they've been chewing a lot because they actually had to split this mod in two. So we will not be playing as Biden instead. I mean, I wasn't going to be, but Biden will not be a factor in this race. This will be probably immediately after the DNC, because right after Harris joins. Um, you still have delegates being pledged to her, so I'd say it's probably gonna take place immediately after the DNC, or maybe right after the RNC. Who knows? And I'm going in blind. I've seen none of the questions from this. I've been past this page specifically because I wanted to check campaign trail showcase.com versus newcampaigntrail.com. It's the same. And I've not been past this page. So today we're going to be going over this mod, trying to win as Trump, because, where do you think my political affiliations lie? Um, it's hilarious. He seems nearly poised to win this time, despite 34 criminal convictions, 2 high-profile impeachments, and 1 insurrection. So true, so true. Such a real insurrection. That's why he left office. But we are going to be playing as Donald Trump. But before that, subscribe. We are currently, I think, 23 subscribers away from 2,000. It'd be massive to reach it. This video probably won't perform that well. So if you're here, you're already in the top, 1% of viewers. So make sure to subscribe, like, comment down below, become a member if you really want to support the channel. There's also Twitter account in the description, which you can follow to see more of my takes and some stuff that I probably won't say on YouTube that I will say on Twitter. There's some stuff I won't even say on Twitter, but for the most part, if you want me uncensored, go to Twitter. Donald Trump is without a doubt the most infamous figure in recent American history. 8 years ago, he shocked the political establishment, romping to victory in a massive upset while losing the popular vote. 4 years later, he lost re-election to Joe Biden in an incredibly contentious election, even if he'll never admit it. Seems nearly poised to win this time, despite 34 criminal convictions, 2 high-profile impeachments, and 1 insurrection. Politically, Trump is the furthest right he's ever been. So true, so true. I get it's Redditors making this, and the average redditor is a communist, and thinks that by saying Trump is so far right, it means that it makes it better for them that he won quite easily. 2024. His campaign has been described as openly authoritarian, marked by calls to terminate the U.S. Constitution. So true, so true. That's what he ran on. Promised retribution against his political opponents. He has even gone so far as to claim he wants to become a dictator on day one. Yeah, that was one statement taken out of context. His supporters are fervent, as are his opponents. Many believe the second non-consecutive Trump term is a distinct possibility. Now, of course, um, Doug Burgum, Marco Rubio, I don't really love. Ben Carson, maybe I'll play at a different time. I'll probably play it on my own with Carson. He was my choice for VP before the RNC, but I will say I've come to love JD Vance as a pick. Um, and I think he's probably who I'm gonna play with, just to keep historical realism. Um, I mean, I'll do all 35 questions. I don't know what the hell this means. Um, but yeah, we're gonna do winner take all because that's how elections work. So here we are. Trump starts off as the favorite. Actually, in the polls, he's the favorite, which is a pretty big thing. He's also predicted to win the popular vote by 3. So I guess I was wrong about it being immediately after the DNC because the DNC Kamala Harris was ahead in the polls, and obviously a redditor wouldn't take, where they wouldn't miss any opportunity to show Kamala Harris winning in a landslide in the polls, even if they know those polls don't come true. So, oh, it's October 2020. What? Um, um, uh, week before the election. I mean, this is what he did historically, but I think we're gonna do it here. Um, oh, Democrats keep the Senate with 50 seats. I assume this is before the Georgia runoff, so maybe I don't know how Trump hinting towards a run it changed Nevada's Senate results, but who knows? And I do think that if Nevada had voted for Laxalt, Georgia would have probably bit the bullet. Um, and voted for Walker. Otherwise, it would have been closer. I think a lot of the reason Republicans lost that runoff was because turnout was completely dead. Um, but yeah, wonderful, lovely. Ooh, I'm winning. Set the midterm thing aside for a second. Elon Musk, now owner of Twitter, has just announced that your old account, real Donald Trump, has been unbanned. You are now free to return if you want. Does this idea interest you? Um, Jefferson, one of our greatest presidents, who would be appalled by the weaponization of a justice system against me for political purposes. He once said, "We built the city. We built the city on Twitter. I can't wait for return." I think this is probably better than going on Truth Social because Truth Social is a bit more isolated. I do think Trump being on Twitter, um, with his campaign ads and building the bridge towards Elon Musk is important. So, yeah, I mean, uh, I, I mean, obviously, it's going to be anti-Trump. It's a Redditors, but I still feel like that will help Trump on the balance, um, even if it's not reflected in these polls. Because one, I mean, they're wrong if they think that hurts Trump. These are the same people who said that Mississippi would flip to Harris, and two, I think that they're probably deliberately messing with the polls. Well, being up in Wisconsin, Michigan is still pretty big. I mean, I think we'll try to expand the map, which probably means New Hampshire. I do expect VP Harris to get a boost in Minnesota uh, when the time comes and she picks Walls. So we'll see how the campaign plays out. But for now, it seems slightly out of reach. This is actually interestingly nearly the final electoral map, the margins and all. Um, that's interesting. An old friend of yours, Kanye West, has asked to meet with you. Many of his recent statements have drawn considerable condemnation and controversy, but he's commonly recognized as one of the greatest musicians of all time. The advisors are encouraging you to do more to court the unusually shaky youth vote. Will you meet with him? Um, I don't think that would help Trump. Um, he he appears on Infowars and starts ranting about how much he likes Hitler. Yeah. Um, Trump is a genius, people, and this is like even closer to, to the final electoral map, except of course Georgia is like R plus 6, so that's a little bit far off. Let's touch back on the midterms for a second. Despite the Republicans' pitiful showing in the Senate, they were narrowly flipped the House. Now they are currently in the process of electing a Speaker in the 180th Congress. As the second vote ends with a majority of congressional Republicans starting to realize that this might take a long time. Will you put your fingers on the scales during this delegate process? Um, I don't think. I mean, obviously, I'm going to tell as many congressmen as possible to abstain. Like that's the ha ha. Look, Trump is an idiot. He caused Hakeem Jeffries to be speaker. Ha ha. Why did Karen lose? Like that's just the Reddit people being stupid. Who made this mod? You know, there are me problems. No, you gotta be intervened in here. Your favorite president would. So true. Uh, I think we're going to push for Kevin McCarthy. not run for speaker. These two are trolls, but I feel like pushing for Kevin McCarthy is probably for the best. Um, yeah, McCarthy loves me. Woohoo! I think we're gonna spend the day in Minnesota because I do feel like we have a pretty easy chance to expand the map past these core swing states. Like Trump, if he had invested in Minnesota, New Hampshire, um, more than he did, or even as much as he invested in New York, he probably would have picked off one of them. He did abandon New Hampshire and to some extent Minnesota during the campaign, especially Virginia. A lot of the focus on Virginia was proven misguided. Um, Minnesota and New Hampshire were closer than that. It has been nearly 3 months since the brutal October 7th attack committed by Hamas. Oh, and we jump forward in time another fucking year, just casually. Wonderful. And the situation in Gaza is only developing further. Also, I'm pretty sure Kevin McCarthy has been removed as speaker by this point. So maybe it was an option I picked where I should have, you know, said this is a them problem, and then I would talk about Johnson being speaker. But like, we just skipped that. Israel is facing criticism for response characterized by many as disproportionate as Gazan civilians bear the overwhelming brunt of the retaliation. Many on the activists less are satisfied with President Biden's steadfast support for Israel. What do you think? Obviously, Trump was a bit more moderate on this. He wasn't like, yes, kill the Palestinians. Of course, it's hilarious. They only talk about Israel's facing criticisms for response characterized by many as disproportionate as Gazan civilians bear the overwhelming brunt of the retaliation. Um, Once again, this is not a nonpartisan mod. This is why I don't really love Do Campaign Trail or the Campaign Trail. Like it's pretty easily biased. Um, and it's evident that these people have no idea how to run a campaign. But yeah, uh, I love Israel. I think this is probably for the best. You do want to be pro-Israeli. Obviously, you're not going to be from the river to the sea. Um, Wipe out Hamas no matter what it takes. Obviously, it's going to penalize for that. But I think this is a good line to walk. You make outreach to the Democratic base. I mean, I still don't think Palestinians swung this election whatsoever, but the mod is going to think that. And the mod is going to crucify me for not saying that every Israeli should be shot. So I think I'm going to be a little bit anti-Israel in the excesses. That was not what I meant to do. Here. Your statement attracts some criticism from Zionist groups for insinuating that Israel is not already doing the best it can to prevent civilian casualties, but it's reasonable for people who actually want civilian casualties to be limited. See, I'm smart. Um, Congratulations, you have been the first former president to become a convicted felon. Um, Found guilty by the state of New York on all 34 counts of falsifying business documents in your attempt to prevent the Stormy Daniels scandals from turning to light during the 2016 election. Your sentencing is scheduled for July. Interestingly, July 12th. What's the day after that? Um, I think we're going to go over this. We're not going to cover it up because it's funny. If you ever have seen Polling USA on Twitter, I remember vividly the days after this dropped, which I think was May 30th. Biden takes the lead in the aggregate, so I think it's going to penalize me for this. But like, just being like, no, I'm sorry, is not going to do me any favors with Republicans. Even though like it's going to have Democrats leading here. Donations soar in the polls register a slight uptick in Biden's numbers. Despite the historicity of this occasion, the battle lines remain almost perfectly static. Sentencing is later pushed back to after the election. Yeah, um, that's kind of lazy since it was pushed back multiple times, and having it pushed back again would make the mod more fun. But you know, no fun allowed. It's Reddit. Um, Minnesota is nearly flipping. That's fun. I feel like we're gonna go to New Hampshire again. My impact can be felt a lot in a pretty small state. Um, I definitely think I can flip that. You take the stage at the RNC in Milwaukee, a large white bandage covering the top of your left ear. You have made it through 2 impeachments, scores of indictments, 1 arrest, 34 convictions, and an assassination attempt to get to where you are today, poised to retake the White House by a decisive margin, fundamentally change America with your sweeping agenda. What will your convention speech be about? Joe Biden is a puppet for the radical left. Our nation is under siege. Um, Discord. I think this is probably the best. Um, especially since Trump kind of did focus on unity in his speech. It was like a partisan speech. He was in front of the RNC, so you can thank that. But it was more uniting, so I feel like that's probably the best tone to strike at this point. And it seems like the game has slightly punished me for that. Following a harrowing assassination attempt, you recovered quickly and gone on with the campaign. You have taken to Truth Social on the first day of the Republican National Convention to announce your running mate, freshman Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio. What's your reasoning behind picking him? That's a funny memory. I think I have an old stream on that. Maybe it's on another channel. Maybe it's privated, but that was a funny moment. JD Vance is like a mini me. I don't say that about very many people, but it's true. Everyone loved this guy. He really represents the direction I want to take this country, and no surrender. Um, I feel like this is probably better. Um, Vance was definitely a wild card pick, especially compared to establishment favorite Doug Burgum was never going to be VP. Many pundits and analysts interpreted his selection as a sign of confidence from your campaign. I mean, yeah, at this point it was kind of over for Biden. Like, it's kind of evident. So I think we're gonna go down the polls, but I feel like having like this base of support in Minnesota and New Hampshire is gonna be important because at the end of the month there's gonna be a polling bias against us. Biden bowing out of the race, starting to become apparent that Harris is picking up steam very quickly. So true. I don't think that she was leading for a single point during the campaign. It's funny. Um, During the election, I was criticized for never having Harris as the favorite by people who never had Trump as the favorite. It turns out I was right, but she was never the favorite. Um, what will your main round of attack be against your new opponent? I'm not gonna bring this up. The Ma's gonna punish me for that, even though I don't think it hurt Trump whatsoever. The Ma is gonna try to crucify me for that. Uh, this is probably the best. Um, Maybe this could be better. Um, I think we're gonna go for Kamala Chameleon. That's incredible. This is by no means a bad attack, but Kamala Harris is no Hillary Clinton. She's much more difficult to pigeonhole ideologically, can redefine herself relatively easily because of her role profile until now. That's not true, but okay. Um, yeah, I feel like this is conforming way too much to the election results. I don't think there was a time where Trump led Wisconsin by one, but led Michigan by three. That was not like February of the election. So, yeah. Recently, President Biden announced new tariffs on Chinese steel, solar panels, and electric vehicles, some tariff rates reaching as high as 100%. First administration also saw the imposition of high tariffs on Chinese goods, a break from the previous Republican consensus of open markets. What course will you take on trade policy during a second Trump administration? Um, I'm not going to be anti-tariff. Uh, yeah, here. I am not gonna. I'm not gonna call for abolishing the income tax, but I feel like this is a win-win. For me, yeah, it's only gonna help me. I'm surprised I'm still up by this much. You'd think that they would have already shoehorned like a Harris landslide into the polls to cope with the fact that Harris got her ass handed her already. I feel like Minnesota probably could be a good use of our time. Yes, I don't know what the hell's happening in Maine. I get polling was weird during the election there, but okay. Family of one of the 13 U.S. servicemen members killed during the 2025 or 2021 Afghanistan withdrawal has invited you to attend a private wreath-laying ceremony at the Arlington National Cemetery. Some of your advisors think this could make for a great opportunity to fill material for your campaign ads, that you could even attack Biden and Harris for not showing up to the ceremony. Will you go? Um, so true, losers and suckers. Haha. Yeah, I would I could understand the outrage against that, but it was against John McCain, who is the scum of the earth. Like, one of the worst, most terrible people to ever be elected to elected office. So like I'm not gonna criticize him for calling McCain a sucker and loser. So yeah. I think we're going to be I think we're going to go here because there was some controversy around here, and I think it's going to penalize me for that. The Internet Fly is mostly underrated, but the family is thankful you for showing up, and those who do notice see it as rare moments of respect and reverence from you. So true, so true. Um, Since the start of her campaign, Harris has been somewhat oblique regarding her actual agenda for elected president. She has yet to do a single interview as the nominee. Her campaign website still does not have an issues tab nearly a month after she announced her candidacy. What do you think about this? Um, I think tying her to Biden is important. Here. Uh, I think tying her to Biden is the only thing that's going to help me. Kamala is obviously hesitant to make any promises because her odds of winning the Senate, thus being able to deliver on these promises, are slim. She's basically hoping she could vibrate with the president. She very well might be able to. That's such a wonderful spin on it. Um, oh, the only reason she hasn't announced any policy a month into the campaign is because they're going to lose the Senate, and also she's not winning the Senate. It's Democrats. Is that so hard to understand? Is this mod made by a fucking Mexican who like doesn't understand U.S. politics whatsoever? Um, but yeah, I don't think she's going to be able to vibe her way to the presidency. I'll play three in the popular vote. Um, yeah, I think we'll spend the day, in New Hampshire. We can win New Hampshire. Last Saturday, a wide scope of confidential campaign documents, including a dossier on your running mate, leaked to Politico and your campaign, described this as a Iranian cyber attack. Do you have anything to say about this? Kamala is now receiving outside help from the Iranians. That's right, folks. The Iranians want nothing more than have a puppet in office they can control as they please. First Biden, then Kamala. Only I can stop them. I don't think that's the best idea. Um, yeah, I'm winning every swing state. I think I'm in a good position. Immigration has become a key issue during the election, with coverage of it at an all-time high. You're known for your strict anti-immigrant rhetoric, and it's proving to be more popular than ever before. We continue to talk about immigration from this perspective. Yes, obviously I'm going to talk about it. Um, Speeding up the process, cracking down on those who break the law, it'll be beautiful. That seems good. Yeah, I don't think complimenting Biden here. Biden, he kept saying finish the job and stuff like that. I don't think that's the best tone to strike. Day one, we're doing mass deportations. It'll be the biggest operation ever undertaken in modern history. You're going to kick out the gangs, the criminals, and make America safe again. That's probably best. I don't think immigration reform is a good idea, but I think this is probably the best. This is exactly what your supporters want to hear. Exactly. And ooh, whoa, wow! Now they're spinning the polls. I'm surprised I'm still down by only two in New Hampshire. I'm quite proud of that. I'm doing great. Um, the recent FEC ruling allowing campaigns to coordinate their ground efforts with outside groups. You have been offered assistance to your campaign's ground game by Elon Musk's America PAC, among other groups. I don't know why I'm stuttering through this so much. Some of your campaign advisors believe that outsourcing your get out the vote efforts to these organizations could act as a force multiplier, drastically increasing the amount of voters contacted by your supporters. Is this something you're interested in? Trump outsourcing to Turning Point worked pretty well, but I'm pretty sure on the balance, this ended up hurting him. Uh, I think. Uh, I think we'll go for outsourcing. As campaign goes on, Elon Musk America PAC begins to assume most of you get out the vote efforts. Time will tell how effective this strategy is. I think the mod might punish me for that, but so far, I seem okay. Last Thursday, criticized Florida's 6-week abortion ban. Why is this making the cut? When you have like 30 to 25 questions of like substance that aren't just defense. Why does this make the cut? And seem to imply that you would be voting for Amendment 4, Florida ballot measure seeking to protect the right to an abortion before fetal viability, about 23 to 24 weeks. Your statement has drawn criticism from many evangelical groups and contradicts the stances of Governor DeSantis and the Florida GOP. Can you clarify whether you vote for Amendment 4? Um, I'm not going to vote for Amendment 4. Um, abortion is a terrible, terrible thing. Um, yeah, this is dumb. I think you want to attack the extremes, which is exactly what Trump does and is the best strategy for Republicans to do it. Probably your best course of action, though it's still an obvious flip flop, and Harris attacks you relentlessly anyways. You got to appeal to the base without ceding the center entirely. Yeah, that's going really well, Kamala. You are up by margin of error in Minnesota. Yeah. I'm waiting for the Kamala surge. Product 2025. It's a plan published by the Heritage Foundation aiming to consolidate power under the presidency, undermining democratic institutions to enact a far-right, authoritarian policy agenda. Harris has been relentlessly on the attack, tying it at every turn. How will you handle these charges? Let me make myself clear. I know nothing about Project 2025. No idea who it is behind it. I disagree with the things they're saying, some of which are absolutely ridiculous. Um, I'm not going to back 2025. Uh, I'm going to bring up Agenda 47. Total blanket denial like this is probably the best you can do, but this Project 2025 matter is definitely hurting you regardless. Meanwhile, Harris accusing you in your next campaign speech, accusing you of playing excoriates. I learned a new word today, context clues. Accusing you of playing dumb. Wow. Did you use Grok for that? Oh wow. Wow, I'm still up in the popular vote. I'm still standing. Dissatisfaction with President Biden's support for the Israeli war in Gaza. The Israeli war. It's not the Israel Hamas war. It's the Israeli war that's just in Gaza coincidentally, threatening to tear apart the Democratic base. And he struggles with Arab American supports in the critical swing state of Michigan. Why is this? He's dropped out. Like, why was this not at the beginning? Like, I'm mistaken. Every one of these questions that has been in rotation now has been with Harris as the nominee. Why is this here? Um, I do think Arab Americans for Trump is big. Um, here, yeah. Um, I think this is probably the best. The Bulls, I can't even pronounce that. Um, Heading a delegation of Trump campaign representatives meets with Arab American community leaders in Dearborn, Michigan. Uh, Bolos, I don't know. Has little substance to offer them, and the meetings don't go very far. I don't care. Um, Minnesota. Yeah, I mean, we're still leading in every swing state. Like, it's pretty over. Advisors are starting to realize that your running mate, JD Vance, has proven to be a severe mistake. He makes for an uncharismatic campaigner. Some of his previous statements have been deeply unpopular. Polling this showing is the getting only less popular with time. That's funny because CNN exit polling showed him as the only candidate on the ballot. With a net positive favorability rating. That's right. Jesus incarnate Tim Walz actually didn't have a net positive favorability rating. JD Vance did. Um, yeah, so true. I'm not doing that. I'm not dropping Vance. Winning a campaign or not, Vance is historically unpopular, starting to show in your polling numbers. No, it's not, and he was the most popular candidate on the ballot. People pretend otherwise because they don't want to admit that Vance was a good pick. Two campaigns have reached an impasse regarding the upcoming presidential debate. Harris' campaign wants to modify the rules so that microphones are live the whole time, while your campaign managers want each microphone to be shut off when it is the other candidate's turn to speak. Debate around the corner. What do you think? Um, I don't think. I think if I do bad, I'll lose the lead in these swing states, but I don't think that they're going to put an option worse than Trump's performance in the debate this time around. I mean, obviously, he really didn't lose that debate by that much. He lost it, but he wasn't blown out of the water. But they're obviously going to pretend that, you know, it was a disaster on par with Biden's debate. Um, so I think I'm going to go, and I really only seek to benefit from this. Harris caves and the microphone stay muted. You hammer on her flip flopping during the debate, but she's levels out with plenty of counterattacks. Most disagree that the debate was tie. I mean, I'll take it. Um, yeah, I'll take that. That's fine. Yeah, and yeah, we still it's still counting me for the 6 electoral votes in Nevada. I mean, I'll take that. Uh, yeah, I'm up by 2.3%, not even factoring in the polling bias. Breaking news: yet another person who tried to assassinate you. Identify. I can't even fucking speak. Identified as Ryan Wesley Ruth, the 58-year-old mentally ill neoconservative, fired several shots at you with an AK-47 before fleeing the scene. Being apprehended by police later on the highway. Thoughts on your second attempted assassination in 2 months? Well, firstly, I would like to thank everyone for your concerns, well wishes. Um, I'd love to thank the Secret Service. Uh, I don't think we're going to say it's the Democrats going to punish me for that. As the mod goes on, you're seeing I want to win the mod. And I don't want to be historically accurate to do what actually helped Trump the campaign. I don't know if attacking Democrats would help him. Um, but it's going to crucify me if I choose this as the option. Um, I'm contemplating picking this second one, but I do think it's going to hurt me for that. So I think we're going to go for the first one. Despite your near-death experience, polls aren't registering any kind of sympathy boost from voters. Yeah, so true, so true. I mean, they didn't really register too much. It's still counting me for the win in Michigan. Um, but yeah, it's kind of cope to say that the assassination attempts did nothing. In 2020, your claim is massive voter fraud and stolen election culminated in the infamous January 6th protest and your second impeachment. Do you think something similar could happen in this election? Um, uh, I mean, maybe this. I think this is probably the best. Um, uh, I think this is probably the best too. Nowhere is this more true than Georgia, where the state UPS set up a network of partisan electoral election officials ready to spring into action in case you end up losing Georgia in the initial count. Fingers crossed for the best. It's hilarious. All the Democrats you think, oh yes, they would have rigged it from Kamala Harris had she won. Makes their loss any less pathetic. Um, oh, we're leading in Minnesota. That's lovely. Um, yeah. I should start drafting my inauguration speech. Trump's was pretty good, but I'm sure I could write something better. Since the Russian invasion of Ukraine, Finland and Sweden could or have become part of the NATO, part of NATO. Um, President Biden's strong support. Biden has also been open to admitting Ukraine after the war's end, presuming Ukraine still exists independently. What do you think about America's role in NATO? Um, it's a sad reflection on the country that is still considered a legitimate possibility. We let Ukraine into NATO. Yeah, I love NATO, great organization. The fake news media tried to convince people I was going to pull out of it during my first presidency. It didn't happen. I never pulled out of it. They want you to believe it. So this time, don't kick the football. People are crazy. I think this is probably the best. Um, not like saying he's encouraged Russia, which isn't the best. And withdrawing isn't the best. But I'd say this is probably a win-win. It's basically what you've been saying for most of your political career. It's much more skeptical of NATO than the bipartisan consensus, but still reasonable to most Americans. Yeah, that's how Trump wins. He or on the NATO issue, like we are still being scammed out of a shit ton of money by NATO. Solutions have been a little hit or miss for most Republicans, but many of your advisors believe that you can find Harris is out of touch with the average American on these policies easily. Is there something you wish to do, or will you keep the culture war rhetoric toned down? This is one of the linchpins of Trump's campaign, at least I've seen. Supposedly, this ad moves a shit ton of voters. I don't know about that. Um, I'm not going to bring this up, but this is this is what will benefit me. Well, if it's they, them, Trump is for you begins airing across the country, people start to notice. And that ad only helped Trump. That was one of the best ads he ran. And yeah, it's pretty much helping me. It's looking like there's really no realm of possibility for Kamal upset. News outlets have begun to report that President Biden intends to block the proposed $14.9 billion takeover of U.S. steel by Japanese firm Nippon Steel, citing security risks in having American steel production controlled by foreign entities. What public position do you take on this? Um, we're announcing an announcement. So true. Uh, I like to call them nipple steel. I call it dripping steel. No, no, this is great. This is the expected response, especially from a candidate like you who wears his economic nationalism on his sleeve. Harris has also come out in opposition to the deal, so this whole episode doesn't really move the needle. Great. Maine and Nebraska are the only states in the country to allow allocate their electoral votes by congressional district. Typically, this cancels out with Republicans winning Maine second and Democrats winning Nebraska second. However, the deadline to change Maine's electoral votes for this election has passed, meaning Nebraska could theoretically revert to winner takes all without fear of retaliation. Would you support this elaborate heist of one electoral vote by Nebraska Republicans? So true, so true. Um, Yeah, I've made a video on this. Why the idea of Maine's gonna change it when Nebraska does. When like fucking LT made a video on that. Most retarded, most the stupidest video he's made, and that's saying a lot. Um, but I think we're going to push for it. Um, push gains for Nebraska. Key state legislators coming out. Okay, I failed. It didn't hurt me that much. You'd think that Democrats would be like, oh my god, this is the point where Trump's anti-democracy rhetoric came to the forefront and Kamala Harris won the election. Like, you'd think that. Yes, your loyal supporter, Laura Loomer, have been telling you about some disturbing rumors coming from Springfield, Ohio. Um, how does this come after the debate? There's little evidence to support this, but they think it could play well into your campaign message regarding immigration. Um, Yeah, I think this is probably the best to talk about. This would make for a good line of attack, except the immigrant wasn't illegal and the murder was a freak legal act and then resulting in the death for a young girl. Regardless, many people are so afraid of illegal immigrants that they readily believe that. I haven't looked into that, but one, yes, they were eating the dogs. It's funny to say, but like they were. Um, and two, I'd assume that this mod is lying. It reminds me of the 2021 gubernatorial mod. They're like, HRT is reversible and it's not being used on minors, but this is still going to connect. Like, does that make your loss any less embarrassing? Saying, actually, you lied, but it's helping you. Well, like, I don't know. Favorite Democratic line of attack over the past couple of years that you repeal the Affordable Care Act, jeopardizing the health care of millions of Americans. Um, a total lie. Uh, I think maybe this one. It's a gamble. Um, Go fast and loose on the facts, but it's still a smart pivot. The ACA has only grown in population over the past decade, and proposing to strip 20 million people of the health coverage right before the election would be political suicide. I mean, maybe that helps. I think I win on the balance with that. Um, yeah, I'm starting to like these numbers. I mean, I'm winning Michigan by 4, Pennsylvania by 5 in the polls. I'm struggling to see how Kamala Harris can come back from this when, like, Trump was leading by the skin of his teeth. The Pennsylvania Agate on RCP, by the way, which people pretend is a right wing bias network, but he was leading by the skin of his teeth in the aggregate. Come election day, most folks remember the economy of your first term as fairly strong, save for COVID, of course. You, however, have not really focused much on specific economic policies during your campaign, other than talking about bringing down inflation. Is there any specific plan you'd like to lay out for the economy? Um, Tax cuts, maybe. Uh, uh, maybe tax cuts and jobs. I think tariffs could help us. Um, I think it's probably the best. Your obsession with Millie McKinley is fascinating, as is your obsession with tariffs. When you lay it down like this, the American voter seems to resonate with him more. I made the right choice, like usual. Um, yeah. I think Maine, there's going to be a polling bias against us, so I don't really feel like investing my time and energy into that state, but who knows? Israel has invaded southern Lebanon, major escalation of the Israel-Hezbollah conflict, itself an offshoot of the war in Gaza. Iran immediately retaliated by firing a volley of missiles into Israel, and the White House is quietly supportive of Israel's actions. Where do you stand? Um, Israel would be totally secure. These terrorist thugs would know who they were dealing with, and we had an understanding. It's probably not the best. I think we probably gotta go for peace. Um, Whether or not you like to admit it, you're outflanking Biden and Harris from the left on this issue. Your Israeli friends are frustrated, but there are some grumblings that you could gain some of the dissident anti-war and Arab-American votes in Michigan and elsewhere. Yeah, that probably helps me on the balance. Um, I want to go for New Jersey, but I don't fully know about that. I think I'll go for Minnesota for now. Okay, yeah, this is over. Um, the shift is registering in the polls. Over the past few weeks, numbers have steadily risen. Harris' campaign is scrambling to fix a perceived slippage with the male, particularly black male voters. That didn't completely materialize, but I do think with precinct analysis, Trump did do better with black voters than exit polls show. But I don't know about that. Remember how Kamala said she worked at McDonald's? It was total lie. Get this, I'm actually going to work at McDonald's. That was his best stunt. I'm going to show up at McDonald's probably in Pennsylvania or Arizona or something. It certifies to a few lucky guests. It's going to be a blast. Um, I think that's probably the best. You work in the shift at a local McDonald's in Pennsylvania where you discover that you're not a bad fry cook. It's a little different to difficult to concretely gauge how this helps you polling numbers, although winning over hearts and minds like this in a key swing state never hurts. So I think they're gonna. Okay, okay. New Jersey is within four in the polls. Okay, wonderful. With your new advisors, um, with your new momentum, your advisors are urging you to strike deep into enemy territory, holding rallies in states like New York, New Jersey, and Colorado. Is this something you would do? I think the reason Trump was doing that was to win the popular vote, but like, I think that's a little bit secure at this point. I'm polling at a majority of the popular vote. I'm nearly 5 points ahead of Kamala Harris in the polls. These same polls at the popular vote tied. So I'm fairly confident I'm going to win. I think we're going to do that. Of course, you don't actually have a chance of winning these blue states, so true in New Jersey, but these visits project confidence and they make for effective psychological warfare against Democrats rattled by your surge at the polls. I don't know why I went down New Jersey. Why did that happen? Why is Illinois like the same margin as New Mexico? Why is that the case? I think I'll do one rally in New Jersey, but maybe lay off it for. I mean, I'm winning Minnesota and New Hampshire probably. Um, so at this point, what is that? Why is Virginia more Democrat than Illinois? Okay, I give up. Wonderful mod. You just wrapped up a big rally in Madison Square Garden in order to close off your campaign over controversy. Oh my god. I love how this is like a collective experience. So it's not like I have to say, "Oh yeah, way back when um like all this happened." Like when I talk about the 2023 Wisconsin Supreme Court election, a weird example, I know. Totally not related to anything. But it's like I think most of my viewers just didn't watch that, but everyone lived through this. Among them includes Tony Hinchcliffe, made numerous racist jokes targeting Puerto Ricans. The Puerto Rican joke. It's so dumb. Uh yeah. Uh I don't know about this. I think we're going to do this. This is a good call. Not a lot of people seem to care about this. I love how they admit that. I'm surprised the Redditors admitted that and ignore it unless your reputation with Teflon on to continue. I'm shocked the Redditors admitted that changed nothing in the election. It's like the worst moral defeat for them. Yeah, I'm winning every swing state by 5. I think this election might be over. Election day is less than a week away as you steadily close the gap. I'm not closing the gap. There was not a single point in this campaign where I was losing. Kamala Harris is taking the labeling as a fascist, and recent allegations that you claim to have wanted Hitler's generals as president aren't helping. But the final message is you want to emphasize the closing days of the campaign. This was interesting. Kamala Harris kind of just like immediately shat the bed. At the end of the campaign because, as we know now, her internals never showed her winning. So she changed her messaging again and again, which is one of the reasons. One of the reasons why I don't think she'd do too well if she had the full campaign. Like the idea amongst the left is like, oh, the only reason Kamala Harris lost was because Biden dropped out. She was screwed out. Like this campaign was never going to win, whether they had 100 days or 400. Kamala Harris changed her messaging so much that like she was never going to. She was eventually going to alienate more and more people. Like she had everything go perfect for her. Yeah. Or Kamala Harris is a corrupt Marxist elitist. I think that's going to hurt me. We're gonna win. We're gonna take this country back. We're gonna make America great again. That seems good. Um, I don't think this is the best idea. Tunnels under the border reminds me of the Jewish tunnels in New York City, which I will say, this isn't me the joke like wink wink nudge nudge. YouTube isn't allowing me to say like that. That's just like retarded. There were no Jewish tunnels dug under New York City. YouTube is not forcing me to say that. Um, but that's a hilarious meme I have to say. Our country is a mess. Our borders are wide open. Crime is rampant, and our economy is in decline. I would blame it on Joe, but Kamala is really the one. Kamala is really the one pulling the strings. When I'm president, we're bringing America back, and the only one pulling the strings will be the American people. That seems good. I think this is the best one. The economy and immigration are the two biggest strengths with undecided voters. The energy of such rhetoric boosts turnout both sides for better or for worse. I think it's probably for better for me. We're gonna campaign in Minnesota just to close it out. Yeah, I think it gave me a hit in the polls. I don't know why. Even though the 5th of November is now tomorrow, millions of Americans have already voted early and by mail. Your hope is they voted for you. Will you make your last visits before the in-person election day vote starts to be counted? There is so much fraud. No. Um, I don't think we're gonna do Virginia. Um, uh, I, I think we're gonna go Wisconsin. I mean, I think we're gonna go for Virginia because I'm winning every other swing state. Like that's it. And Virginia is the only one really to expand the map. Most analysts think Virginia is out of the cards for you this time. Will you prove them wrong? Whatever the outcome, you gotta admit it's been one hell of a ride. Yeah. So Indiana. Okay, it's over. It's over. If Indiana is a 26, if I'm reading that right, point margin for me, it's over. This election is over. Um, yeah, there's no winning this. Indiana is just as close as Vermont. And Ohio is a 23 point margin for me. Um, yeah. Oh, Virginia's a 9 point margin. Okay, Georgia. I flipped Georgia with by 6%. I don't think this election is going to be competitive. North Carolina as well. Um, Illinois was a 7 point margin. New Jersey, actually, it looks like they didn't code in the fact that like this mod might have been prepared before the election, but New Jersey, I don't get why it's not close whatsoever. But I won Pennsylvania and I won Arizona. Um, and so I actually won Arizona by the exact same margin that Trump won it by. I also won Pennsylvania by 3. Yeah, I think I did something wrong at the very end. I don't know why. Because I should be winning this by much more. Yes, California also. I think the mod just fucked up. Um, like this mod just doesn't understand how the presidential election went. Texas, like these margins are. This is retarded. This is unfathomably dumb. How these margins have played out, but I won, and I won bigger than Trump. Achievement unlocked, never surrender. Oh, I guess that's get the historical results. Congratulations, you have won the 2024 election with Biden's unpopularity, but the Republican Party out for revenge. Many saw this as inevitable. That's their way of coping. You can tell that is written by a Reddit moderator. Democrats are on edge, many of them unsure how to proceed with your victory. You've put up a good performance, but it's not all good news. Republican gains in the House of Representatives are minimal and will make governing tricky, although Republicans will be able to help confirm judicial nominees in the Senate. You promised your supporters that you would be their retribution, not reputation. But now what? You also made it clear that you would seek revenge on those who wronged you during your time in and out of office. But where to begin? You have made big claims about what will happen if you won and if you didn't. Will you turn down the fiery rhetoric or use it to push your agenda through? How much of Project 2025 will you listen to? Depending on how you handle things, you can leave the Republican Party in good shape for 2028, though it probably won't be you they nominate. This mod was horrible. This was one of the worst mods I've ever played. Um, like to the developers of this mod, um, this is this is atrocious. This is like uh, this is so it's embarrassing. Like you should be embarrassed by how bad this is. Like this was just oh my god. This is so dumb. I can't wait to see the full mod. It's gonna be even dumber. I got a lower percent of the popular vote than Trump did. How? What? What? But I don't understand. Further reading. By It's Astronomical and Martha. You people are retarded. Um, yeah. Uh, this was absolutely terrible. Um, this is like I could I could have made this better. But anyways, thank you for watching. It, I mean, it was kind of fun. And it was fun how inevitable me winning was throughout the entire campaign. I love how they didn't put in any polling bias whatsoever at the end. Um, I guess that's their final fuck you to logic. and their final way of coping. But anyways, thank you for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment down below, share with your friends. A lot of friends would be better off in life if they watch Testers on regularly. Follow Twitter, become a member. Main thing is subscribe, though. If you made it this far, you obviously at least liked the content, or you hated it enough that I was entertaining enough to keep you invested for what, 50 minutes at this point. Hey, if you're that invested in, hating me, Tester is not an evil, then you might as well subscribe and turn on notifications so you can see when my next video releases, so you can make fun of me for that. But anyways, we are back, people. We are going back to regular posting. We are going back. We are going back. I'm repeating it because funny, haha. Kamala Harris lost, haha, haha. Haha, this was the dumbest fucking mod I've ever played.